to get started. We'll have standard up first. Both players are in, so we're about to jump in. Just to put this into context for you, Lorenzo is currently 11 points outside the playoffs. Lorenzo is currently 11 points outside the playoffs, so he needs to win all 3 formats to get in. Dylan sits 7 points off second, which means that he's going to have to win 2 formats in order to get the #1 seed. Why is that relevant? Because in the finals, it's the best out of 5, and whoever's the highest seed gets to play first in each format. So there is a distinct advantage to be had there. As we just look at the hands now, that looks like Lorenzo's on blue-black control. We'll see what Dylan's got. Looks like Dylan, Sultai, yep, the Sultai Energy deck. Lorenzo, who's on the bottom of the screen, is going to play first. By the way, this is our first time that we're actually streaming the event. Yeah, this is the first time we're streaming the event. So what I've done, because just to avoid any issues where, I mean, somebody might look at the stream and see what the other player is playing. I'm not suggesting either player would do that, but just so we don't put ourselves in a position where that's a possibility, I've set a stream delay of 5 minutes. So this is actually occurring 5 minutes ago by the time you watch it. So we look at Lorenzo at the bottom of the screen, loaded with counter spells. He chose not to play the Search for a Skanta there. There's a double attune with Ether from Dylan. Dylan's only got 1 threat, I believe. Let's have a look. Oh, he's got the Rogue Refiner now. So we switch back. So I'm guessing Lorenzo's just going to hold off until turn 4 with his, as he draws another counter spell. His Search for a Skanta, yeah. So he wants to keep up Essence Scatter. We'll see if Dylan goes and jams a Rogue Refiner this turn. No, he's going to go to Glint Sleeve Siphoner first. Just so you can hold up Blossoming Defense, I'm guessing. I'll see if this one is worth a counterspell. It is, so just using his mana efficiently there. Oh, okay, so maybe not a traditional blue-black control. Frey Insanity is the milled card, which probably goes quite well with Scarab God. It can get extra creatures into the graveyard. As we'll see a Ballista for 1 here. That draws an Essence Scatter. So he's got 2 more counter spells here. I think if he was intending to use the Essence Scatter there, he could have used the Search for a Skanta. I'm just looking at OBS. This is the first time I'm streaming on a delay live. It's actually got a countdown, so we're 15 seconds away from the start. So it's a pretty good delay I've set, actually. He's going to try for another ballista. So we just see Dylan's hand here. Ballista is going to resolve this time for one. So he did go for the Escanta. 3 attune with ethers, so 6 energy. See what card he's going to get. He decides to draw. He wants an island. 2, 4, 5, 6. Presumably, is he going to play either... Yeah, okay, so he's going to play Frey Insanity so he can keep up with Disallow. I don't believe there's 2, 4... Oh, there could be the black-green Planeswalker at turn 6, perhaps. I think this is going to confuse Dylan a bit here. Not really sure what the plan is. One thing with this blue-black, it doesn't have access to a lot of the sweepers that white does. So once Dylan can get threats on the board, it makes it somewhat difficult. And here come the beatdowns from the 1-1. In response, we have the mill, so 43 turn clock for Dylan. And what's Lorenzo going to do with... Oh, he's got to count. He's got to find something soon, you'd imagine. He keeps this card on top again, and he draws a Charter Course, which is kind of... He doesn't have the threat, so... Okay, he's found his threat now. It's a Scarab God, and on the other side of the table, Dylan has no answer to that. So this is going to be a big play here. He doesn't have the mana, he's 1 short. But he just flashed it, so... Dylan knows what's going on, although I'm sure Dylan knows once he sees blue-black it's going to have Scarab God. And in comes a 1-1. Just looking at Dylan's graveyard to see what targets. There's a Glint Sleeve Siphoner and a Rogue Refiner. Now we've got a 2-2 Ballista. On the other side there's no creatures, I don't think. No. Yeah, so he's just been sitting back here, Lorenzo. He's got 1 card left in hand. It's a Scarab God. Dylan has no answer to it, so I think this is a very difficult position now for Dylan. I just think, should I counter it? What happened there? Oh, he activated a Ballista. It's a bit strange. What's he going to do this time? This time he puts it in his graveyard, so he's 1 short now. Down comes Scarab God, and I think this is a difficult board state now for Dylan to deal with no threats. And each turn, more cards go in the grave. We'll probably... I don't know if he wants to go the Rogue Refiner or the Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Probably the Refiner first, because he doesn't have energy for this for the Siphoner anyway. See what Dylan can find off the Rogue Refiner. Fatal Push will deal with the whatever the token is that the Scarab God's going to create. So here we go. Is he going to do it in the upkeep, get an extra card draw? Yes, he is. If he can find another land, he can actually activate twice. Start activating twice. Dylan's deck will have access to that 4 mana removal, can get rid of the Scarab God. Okay, he chose not to activate. Okay, he's going to activate now for 4 mana, I believe it is. Yep. Targeting the Rogue Refiner, so he'll get the extra draw here. You can see his counter's been flipped there. And you can actually play that land to activate again. There's a Glint Sleeve Siphoner in the grave. As he just, Dylan just pumps the Ballista. Very tough position here. Winding Constrictor is going to be a good one, particularly if that Blossoming Defense. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about the Disallow. So we see Lorenzo's hand again. It's just defeated pulls, but that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth counter spell. Just to remind everybody that Lorenzo on the bottom has to win all 3 formats to make finals. Dylan has to win 2 formats to finish as the top seed. It's pointless. If he wins 1 format, he would finish as a top seed against Kyle. If he wins 2 formats, he'd finish as a top seed against Tyler. As he just cycles there, so now the beatdowns begin. Is he gonna? What can he get out this time? Oh, there's a hostage taker there. That's going to be punishing. So he's gonna actually clear Dylan's board here. He's gonna hit the Ballista with the Fatal Push. Actually, one quirky interaction that I'm not sure if it works or not is the Ballista. Oh, he's gonna keep his Ballista alive. If he activates the Ballista, sorry, if he activates Scarab God targeting Ballista, Ballista would be a 0/0, but it would also be a 4/4 zombie, so I believe it would stay alive, but have no counters. As it'd be a 4/4 with no counters on it, which would be a bit odd. And in response, he's going to activate for the hostage taker to take the Ballista. And now Dylan's going to be forced to just ping him for 3. Scarab God's just so powerful in this format. An unresolved Scarab God is basically a win. Yep, you can see he's going to start pinging now. What's he going to shoot? He can actually shoot down the Rogue Refiner. I believe he's got a Fatal Push in hand to take care of the hostage taker. So then he's just got to figure out how to get that Scarab God. Yeah, he's just a point short. It would have been nice for him if the Constrictor had resolved. So the hostage taker's going to die. That'll get exiled now. Go to the exile. The blossoming defense and a fatal push, just fizzle. But he's still got one more activation with the Scarab God. As we see the fatal push on the Rogue Refiner. You don't need to... even though the Rogue Refiner is a 3-mana creature, I know the Ballista left, but even though Rogue Refiner is a 3-mana creature, you can still fatal push it, even if nothing leaves, because it's a 0 mana cost being a token. Dylan's down to 14, so he's got a big draw coming up. Just bring up his hand here. Puts a forest into the graveyard. What's he going to draw? No, that's not ideal. He can actually ambush the Scarab God here. Buy him a turn. Oh, he's going to concede. Yeah, I think it's a very tough position for Dylan to be in. So they're going to go to sideboards now. That's not a good result for Tyler to start with. Sideboarding, I think Lorenzo's deck looks like it's pretty well built to combat these kind of mid-range Team Sultai decks. But because Dylan's on Sultai, he's going to probably have duress that he's going to bring in, possibly negates. But it'll depend on what creature removal he has as well. That I forget the name of it, but it's the 4-mana 4-mana black spell that exiles a creature or planeswalker is what he's looking for here. I'm assuming that he's got at least 1 or 2 in his main deck. Counter spells, I don't know if he's going to bring in negates, because if he wants to fight a counter war, he might actually do that. But it's, yeah, as I touched on before, it's a tough one. It's for Lorenzo. It means he has to win all 3 formats. He's won the first game. He needs at least another 5 victories to make the playoffs. Dylan's locked for the playoffs. But having said that, as I just bring up the live ladder again for myself. Dylan, if he can win 1 format, then he's gonna get an advantage. So he really needs to get 1. If he could finish second, whether he wins 1 format or 2 doesn't make much difference. 1 or 2, and we're back now. 1 or 2 format victories for Dylan means he's on the play in the finals. The only difference is whether he plays Kyle Cartmel or Tyler Adams. Some sort of a delay here. I don't know what's going on. It looks like we've got some sort of a technical issue. I'll just see if I can stop watching and come back. Looks to be the same. Let me just send him a message. Okay, looks like I've got a technical issue. It seems to be a problem with Dylan's computer where he can't go back and rejoin. So I think what we need to do now is recreate the game. Dylan's going to concede immediately so that they can go to sideboards, quickly sideboard and get back into the second game. So Dylan's left. I think he's going to wipe the game from the system, and now he's back. Yeah, so we'll just wait a couple of. This will only take 30 seconds. So he recreates the game. Waiting to start. I'll have to check with him, see if he's running the latest version 8. A number of people have been reporting issues with version 8 causing problems as well. I haven't had any myself. Okay, so they'll draw, Dylan will concede, and it should go to sideboard. So they're sideboarding now, so hopefully this will take a few seconds and then this issue will be avoided. And we'll have to see, does this occur in every game? I'll check. Still sideboarding. Okay, we'll see if it's worked this time. Yep, looks like we're okay. As we're just looking at the hands, you can see Dylan's pretty loaded with what he wants this time. He's got a counter spell. Not too many creatures that he has to worry about, you would imagine. I'm surprised he's kept 3 Fatal Push in there. He kept his hand because it's got the Duress. He's got the Field of Ruin. Oh no, wait, sorry, that's Lorenzo's hand. So Lorenzo's brought in the Duress. Huh. So we look at Dylan's hand. He's got a negate there. Yeah, so Lorenzo needs to hit a few land drops. He's got the sort of hand that can buy him some time. You can see he's brought in the Duress as a... He must be expecting the negates and so on in this matchup. Just while the shields are down and get rid of that glint sleeve siphoner. So he's got 3 more answers now. Just a minor picky issue there. He can't remove the Fatal Push because he used the Evolving Wilds to get the swamp just now. Oh, there's some spicy text. Fleet Swallower. Whoa. Down comes a Duress and it's going to steal, you'd imagine, the negate. Yeah, it takes a negate, so he does have Essence Scatter up for the next Rogue Refiner, but at this stage he can't take down the existing Rogue Refiner with the Fatal Pushes. So we'll see what Dylan draws for the turn. Oh, he's got his Vraska's Contempt. One issue here with Lorenzo's, not Lorenzo's, but the blue-black list is that if the opponent can get a board state, is this going to draw out that Essence Scatter? If the opponent can get a board state, he doesn't have the board wipe to clean it up. I believe he does have an Essence Scatter in hand. Yeah, he's just deciding if he wants to use it here or not. Because he can Fatal Push as well. So he's going to choose to take 2 points of damage instead. What I might actually do, I was thinking of stopping the stream and then restarting it so that I can split the files in 2 between Standard, Modern and Legacy, but it's probably going to be too much of an inconvenience for those watching the stream live. Okay, so now he's got the Evolving Wilds for the Fatal Push. You can clean this board up. And he's got a Essence Scatter as backup. Yes, I'm going to keep the stream running. And so the file is going to be one big chunky file. Although what I'm also doing, let me just double check, I'm recording as well. I'm streaming and recording, so I can actually delete the stream after it's finished and then upload the recordings. So I'll stop the recording, keep the stream going. Down comes in a turn. We didn't see anything in the first game really besides the Glint Sleeve Siphoner that takes advantage of the energy. Okay, so Dylan's out of threats now. What's Lorenzo up to? Still three mana away from that Fleet Swallower. 2 mana away now. But Lorenzo's got no... Oh, he's got the Vraska's Contempt in hand. To take down the Scarab God when it comes. 2 Fleet Swallowers. And 2, 4, 6. So he can play that for 3. I don't believe there's a counter spell on the other side. He's going to play it for 2. Yeah, he wants to protect it with the Blossoming Defense. Oh, this is going to be painful. So Lorenzo's just got a, looks like he's just got a shoot on sight approach to this, counter everything, and destroy everything whenever you can. 2, 4, 5. Fatal Push will take down the Ballista. So he needs 2 more lands for his threat. Dylan needs a threat. If Dylan's got a Scarab God here of his own, it would be very good right now. Okay, 1 to go. One to go, and we see the big guy, the Fleet Swallower. Dylan, another 2, 4, 6. Is it worth? He's going to cycle on Lorenzo's turn. See what Lorenzo draws for the turn. An Essence Scatter. So Dylan cycles, and what does he find? A Winding Constrictor. Nothing nice to take with the hostage take at this stage. So does he find the 7th land here? Essence Extraction. Well, this Duress, if he fires it off here, he's not going to. Both players just... Here's a search for a Skunter. Is this worth a negate? It is, yes. I'd be tempted to fire off that Duress this turn. Oh, Andy's got another negate, so that's handy. I think his concern with the Duress here is that he just doesn't have a viable, decent threat. But there's a delay here, so I think he gave it a lot of thought and decides against it. He's probably just keeping it up as a safeguard. And there's a 7th land, so here comes a Fleet Swallower. I think Dylan will have to stop and read this one. Ouch. Oh no, it's got to attack. Okay. A 6/6. It's not when it enters the battlefield, it's when it attacks. He chooses not to remove it. He could have Vraska's Contempt on the instep there. I'm guessing he's lining up the hostage taker to take it. So this is going to be interesting. He did 2, 4, 6. If he finds one more land, he can actually cast that Fleet Swallower. So he's got negate protection here. We'll just see what Essence Extraction can take it, but 2 Essence Extraction, and he can cast them both. Instead he's going to fire off another one. So this is a bit this is going to burn him right here if Dylan decides to go for the duress. If Dylan duresses here, Lorenzo's in big trouble. He's going to risk his contempt instead. I think a duress with a negate back up would have been lights out right there. But of course, I think that's the correct play from Dylan because he is holding up his removal. Just as long as... Yep, so here comes the essence extraction. But Lorenzo's going to have a 6-6 here on the board, and Dylan has no way to answer this. As the 6-6 comes back. And again, this is going to be a very painful swing here. Dylan's going to lose 15, 16 cards. My math is bad, 17 cards. Down comes Rogue Refiner. Another Rogue Refiner. Okay, so he's got some protection if he runs out this Rogue Refiner. He can double block the Fleet Swallower. See what card he draws from the Refiner. Another Constrictor. There's no creature removal on the other side at this stage. Charter Course is, if he swings that Fleet Swallower... Oh, that's going to be painful. That's going to be very painful. That might almost do it, I think. He's choosing to play the Charter Course first. And that's quite a good pickup. How much does he have to discard? Discards one. You can play another Charter Course if he wants to. So 33 cards, 16 are going in the bin here from Dylan. That is painful. I have to see how much removal he loses. Just bring that up here. There's a Scarab God gone, a Vraska, a second Scarab God, and another Vraska's Contempt. So 2 Vraska's Contempts are gone. And now he's got Essence Scatter back up. So this does not look good for Dylan. Yeah, Dylan's going to concede. I think that's a very hopeless situation. And so Lorenzo takes the first match standard 2-0. Very good news for Lorenzo, very bad news for Tyler. But Tyler still has 2 chances left, Modern and Legacy. As I just fill in the live scores here. So we're going to jump into some Modern right now. Okay, we're into some Modern now between Dylan and Lorenzo. Lorenzo's at the top here. Has this got the same problem again? Looks like no. So this is, I think this is Lorenzo's homebrew we're looking at right now. I've seen it before. Dylan is on the traditional humans build. Lorenzo needing to win all 3 formats. He's won the first one. I'll just switch back. He spends an Ancestral Visions. I'll just switch back to his deck because I'm not really that familiar. Sakashimi the Imposter. Gilmore Thief. Yeah, it's not really... I don't know how well this blue deck lines up against the Humans deck. So he's going to have to take Remand, I believe. Yep, so Quetzal exiles Remand. Noble Hierarch can get in for 1 if he wants, or has he got a... Okay, he's got an Ether Vial he can play it. He would have just been making some notes, because Meddling Mage will come down next turn, can name one of those cards. I suspect this is going to be quite a fast game 1. Just put it on. So he plays a tap land. I mean, Dylan's start has not been as explosive as it could be, but it's still a pretty tough one. I'm just going to duck away for 1 minute. Couch.
Oh, you said you always want to bring the other one?
Yeah.
There on the living room there, I saw this Sophie high chair.
Oh. Okay, sorry about that, I'm back now. And it looks like the situation has got very bad here for Lorenzo. What's he going to have it do here? He can possibly copy reflect image and bounce something. What's he going to copy? He didn't. What? I don't. Oh, okay. So he copied champion of the parish. I don't think it's going to work because the champion's not. It's only humans under your control, not humans entering the battlefield. So there's a beating coming across here. 9 damage coming through. Even the noble hierarch's going to get in there. 10 damage. So okay, so he's going to get some cards from Ancestral Vision, but I think it's a bit too late here. Dylan with lethal damage on board. Smuggler's Copter. None of those cards can save him here. Plays out of Smuggler's Copter, so I think he's trying to set up an ambush here. He's going to flash Vendilion Clique to crew the Copter, but even then he blocks the Kite Sail. He still takes 7, 8, 9 damage. And if Dylan finds anything here that can pump his team, then it's over. And it's something like that. So we're going to game 2 now. And oh, okay, no, nice play from Lorenzo. Buys him a turn. I think he's still dead, but he can get that Thalia's lieutenant out. Ah, he took the Reflector Mage. No, I think he had to take the Vendilion, the Thalia's lieutenant right there. Because Thalia's going to pump everybody. Dylan, just to make sure, will drop the Thalia Guardian of Thraben beforehand to get the extra pump, but it's not necessary. This one's over. We're going to game 2. Smuggler's Copter doesn't even have a viable block here. Only the Mayor of Averbrook. In they come. He can only block 1. So he's taking 9. A chump block there. Dylan's out of cards, but I don't know what Lorenzo could find that could save him here. The only thing I'm thinking of is something like an Aetherize. This is a Bruce, there's a possibility, but no, it's not going to happen. So this is game 2. We're going to game 2 now. But what can he... I think previously he had to copy the Reflector Mage, yeah, and bounce something. He can bounce that Champion of the Parish here, but it's not... He's still taking lethal damage from the Kite Sail. I mean, he's taking lethal damage from every creature. Not sure what he's hoping to find here from the Smuggler's Copter. He's going for a loot, but there's nothing for 1 mana that's going to possibly save him. You can see there's quite a lot of dead cards here in Lorenzo's deck, so it'd be interesting to see how he sideboards. But Dylan takes game 1, and Dylan now is one game win away from securing on the play advantage for the finals, and he's also 1 game win away from locking Tyler into the finals. Lorenzo facing sudden death from here. Needing to win every match. He's got to come back and take the last 2. But it looks like the sort of deck... I think in mono blue, I don't really know how he can effectively fight this humans deck. It just seems like a terrible matchup for him. I've only seen his deck a couple of times when I've recorded Lorenzo's matches, so I may be wrong there. For Dylan, on Dylan's side, I don't think there's too much he needs to do differently. Just run out the same 60 cards, so we're back in now, and do the same thing again. He'd probably like to have an Aether Vial in his opening hand. Okay, there's a Cyclonic Rift there, but I don't know if he can survive to turn 7 to overload it. He's decided to keep this hand. He's on the play, so Chalice of the Void for 1 is going to be decent here. As we see Dylan's hand. Of course, Aether Vial is going to get around Chalice, because it's not casting the creatures. But what it does mean is that Dylan would have to keep his Aether Vial on 1, and not put counters on it. Here comes Chalice for 1. This is going to be interesting now to see what Dylan does with this Aether Vial. I'm just trying to think what he has that's... And what's he going to name with Meddling Mage? He's got the... He names Vendilion Click. Okay. He has the 1 mana white thing that gets +1 every time a human comes in. Okay, so no more Aether Vials. Yeah, I think if he can get if Lorenzo can get another chalice here, chalice for 2 would be very good. As the first of the beatdowns arrives. Just looking at, or look at Dylan's hand. Doesn't look like he's too bothered at this stage with the ether vial. I mean, with the chalice on 1. Another chalice for 2 would be very good here. Oh, you see, on the ball play there from Dylan. Just playing out the land first gets around the counter spell that Lorenzo's holding up. I'm surprised Commandeer is still in the deck, because there's not a lot of non-creature spells in this humans build. He's facing 9 damage if this resolves. I think Pact of Negation is looking very inviting here. He can cast Pact of Negation on this. Logic Knot. Okay. Oh, either way it works, yeah. And in Meddling Mage he can Pact of Negation. But he's still going to take 12 effectively from that. So Dylan's going to get in here for 6. 2 or 5. Even if he finds his Cyclonic Rift, he's still 2 turns away from overloading it, which is too late. Oh, this is looking nasty. Can Sig come down? Yes. There's 2 turns ago. Dylan gonna draw a card. Athalia's Lieutenant here would be lights out, I think. Gonna draw another card. Champion of the Parish can't be played. Lorenzo can activate his scrying sheets here if he wishes. Is Dylan just determines that there's no... does he want to get in with Thalia? He's only going to get 2 damage this way. So 2 damage comes through. He runs down to the second Meddling Mage. Then he's got lethal on board next turn. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Meddling Mage naming Cyclonic Rift here. Oh, he doesn't play it out. Okay. Scrying Sheets activation from Lorenzo. Okay, what's he drawing here? Spell Snare. So a very reactionary hand here. He's going to drop to 2. And he needs top deck next turn. So it's looking like his hopes of playing finals are quickly disappearing now. That Thalia Guardian of Thraben is checking any Cyclonic Rift overload. Lorenzo, things are not looking good for our hero. What can he find? He needs a miracle. Wrong hand, let me see. Okay, so the next card, he didn't draw, so it means it's not a land. Oh, Cyclonic Rift. He's a land short of overloading it, and he's also, Thalia's preventing him from casting it for its cost, so he needs to play an additional land. It will buy him a turn though. And just passes. Cavern of Souls is going to shut off those counter spells. So in will come the Knuckleheads. Well, they're not really Knuckleheads because they're all wizards, so they're probably quite intelligent. That's a lethal attack. Cyclonic Rift has to come down now for 3. Targeting Middling Mage. Okay, so you can pick off Thalia here. It's not a bad play. He's probably, if Dylan will play the Cavern so he can run another threat back out. That's going to get countered by... Oh no, Chalice. Yeah, he's running it through the Chalice. Nice. Through the Cavern to get around Chalice. That will draw the spell snare surely. Oh, spell snare, that's right, the Chalice. Even I forgot about that. He can Pact of Negation if he wants to here. Yeah, Dylan just points out it's his own Chalice, it was his downfall. Just deciding if he wants to fire off that Pact of Negation. Of course, the Pact is going to basically leave him tapped out. He'll just be thinking, what have I possibly got in this deck that I could draw to get me out of this? he's concluded he's got nothing, so he has to fire off the Pact of Negation. A Meddling Mage, and I think that should do it. Dylan's going to take Modern 2-0, lock up a home field advantage for the playoffs, and knock Lorenzo out of the playoffs, bringing Tyler in. So he's not going to pay the negate. He doesn't pay for the Pact of Negation, and Dylan has taken Modern 2-0 after Lorenzo completed part 1 by winning Standard. Dylan has come back, tied up a home court advantage for the finals, and knocked Lorenzo out. So Tyler Adams will be our final place getter for the playoffs. Now, as we move on to Legacy, Dylan can try and overtake Tony momentarily, although Tony still has a game in hand. So this is going to mean that Kyle Cartmore's game is going to take on added interest. Okay, so we're going to jump back into Legacy now. Has this got the problem? No, luckily it didn't. Lorenzo now on some sort of Painter's Servant combo. I remember playing somebody, I don't know if it was Lorenzo playing this. It's quite a complicated one, so I'm not going to pretend I know. Dylan looks like he's on that mono, what's it called, mono red sneak attack. Yeah, so this is like a really cool mill deck. Painter's Servant. How does it work? So every card, yeah, so all cards that aren't on the battlefield are blue. So Grindstone makes it so that every single card is going to be, yeah, Dylan says that's gross, and he concedes straight away. Yeah, so that's basically a turn 1 kill in Legacy for Lorenzo. And we're going to go to a game 2 very quickly. The sideboarding in some of these Legacy matches goes for longer than what the actual game goes for. Because I remember when I was playing, I might have played Lorenzo, I'm not sure, but I played somebody that plays this deck, and they were. It's a very difficult lock. I think I had to beat them with pithy needles, naming that thing that does the milling. Okay, this is whose hand? This is Lorenzo's. He's keeping that hand. It's a turn 2 Blood Moon. Dylan has mulliganed. Okay, he's got the Shattering Spree. Cavern of Souls, interesting. Dylan will play first. You can see no red source at this stage. Trinosphere kind of negates his own Shattering Spree here. Oh, he can actually turn 1 Blood Moon with the Simian Spirit Guide. Nice. That means Dylan's just got 2 basic reds. Grizzlebrand. Look at Lorenzo's hand now. He's got that Elemental Blast. I didn't see... Actually, that's interesting. He must have brought that in from the sideboard. He brought both of these in from the sideboard. He's got 3 of them in hand now. They're all useless because he didn't actually see any of Dylan's cards. He doesn't know what Dylan's on, so he's just guessing he's on some sort of a blue build, which is not the case. Magus of the Moon here is going to provide the beatdowns. So we see what Dylan can draw. He's got 2 Grizzlebrands. He's got how many cards? That's going to cost 3. Yep. So 3 useless cards in hand. Jaya Ballard. Looks like Lorenzo's set up to beat blue decks here. Dylan's up to the 4 mana. He needs to get a... He's looking for sneak attack, I believe. Those 3 cards in hand. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Access to 6 mana. So what can you draw for the turn? A Simian Spirit Guide. Well, I suppose it can act as a blocker here. Yeah, he's going to hard cast it just to slow down the beatdowns. But Lorenzo looking like you'd probably call him favourite in Legacy now. He's going to take 2 formats. He just slipped up in Modern, which is a bit painful for him. This Jaya Ballard can actually get rid of all of these useless cards. He's just got to get to how much? 7. Do 6 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's going to hit him as well. Each player, each creature and each player. Look at that. 4 bad cards. If Dylan manages to pinch this one, it's gonna be another big sideboard change for Lorenzo. He doesn't have the... What's he looking at? I'm sure it's sneak attack. He needs a sneak attack here. Emrakul, 2, 4, 6, 8. Actually, Lorenzo could survive through an Emrakul anyway. 4. He's only got to get Dylan down to 6, so he's got to do another 6 damage. 4 damage now. So 2 turns for Dylan to come up with something. 2 Emrakuls, not what you want. A Chrome Box. Well, that's going to get rid of one of the useless cards. Because he runs out of second Blood Moon, just to probably... I don't know if he knows what deck he's up against, but it's something he can get rid of to Emrakul. 1 turn left. Oh, 2 turns actually. 2 draws left for Dylan. You can see the bad draws. 5 of his bombs in hand. And no way to get them out. He's on top deck mode next turn. So here we go. What's he going to draw? He's dead next turn from Jaya if he can't find something right now. He can't. So Lorenzo's going to take Legacy 2 games to 0 after he took Standard 2 games to 0, but he slipped up in Modern. So his Lorenzo's season unfortunately comes to an end with his Modern defeat, but he fought gallantly in Standard and Legacy. But Dylan does enough, and he's in the playoffs. As the concession comes from Dylan. Plays out his Lotus Petal. And Lorenzo finishes his season on a high. For Dylan, he's got another matchup. He's got bigger fish to fry as he looks to get back to Division 1 via the playoffs. As Jaya Ballard now just doing the requisite damage, and that is game. And thank you for joining me.